Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Introduction to CMMS Key Performance Indicators Part 2. I'm Barbara van der Walt, the Sales and Marketing Manager for Eagle Technology, a company that has been in business for over 30 years, developing computerized maintenance management solutions and enterprise asset management for the worldwide facility and manufacturing market. So the previous time we were focusing on what KPIs are, some benefits of using KPIs in your maintenance department, and KPI best practices. Today we're going to recap on part 1 of this 2-part series. Then we're going to spend some time on some real examples of CMMS KPIs. In the previous webinar, there was mention of some of the visuals that will be used, and if you have missed the previous webinar, it is available on our YouTube channel as well as our webinar channel that you can access through our website, which is www.eaglecmms.com if you want to access those resources. At the end of this webinar, there will be time to answer any questions, so feel free to ask them as we progress. And we'll also be recording this webinar, which we'll share with you once it's available online. So I'm going to introduce today Harry Kohal. He is currently the Vice President of Business Development at Eagle. He's been with us since June 2006, and I'm sure you're going to find it very insightful. Harry, over to you.
Thank you, Barbara. Today, we're going to talk about key performance indicators, the how and why of them. And if you missed last time's KPI webinar, one of the things that people found humorous but true is that key performance indicators are sort of like underwear. They're sort of personal. And we'll talk about that a little bit more today, in that when we get into specific key performance indicators, I'll talk about some of the variations that some of our customers look at. There's clients that we work with that are in the facility business. They manage office buildings, college campuses, and things like that. And then we've got other clients that are in the manufacturing sector, food and automotive and so forth. And it's interesting because there's always the aspect of the facility associated with whether you're in manufacturing or wherever. And it's important to remember that there are, a lot of different things that you can measure. And the key, again, to measuring and key performance indicators is getting data that's quality and data that is significant and has a meaning to your organization. We've had clients, for example, in the past that look at the cost of work orders by labor craft. A labor craft could be carpenter, plumber, electrician, and so forth. And it's interesting because you can look at the cost and you know that, let's say, an electrician across the board costs you $85 an hour. Well, that's fine, but then you can look at the work type that person is doing in the system. And let's say picture hanging is one of the work types. We've had clients that find that it's easier to get an art gallery to come in and hang pictures for a lesser cost than the cost of a carpenter, for example, doing that work. You can look at the number of work orders completed by a technician. In other words, who's doing work and how much work. The cost of responses to service requests. So I've got hot cold calls in my building, or I've got lights out calls. I've got different types of responses. What are those types of calls costing me? Is another key performance indicator. And another measurement in the facility might be from the time a service request is created to the time it's completed. What's my average response time? This is all the type of data that you can get out of our system. And different clients, again, require different types of information. They want to look at the number of PMs completed on time, the number of work orders by craft. So let's say that I've got electrical technicians on my staff, but 90% of the work that they're doing has nothing to do with electrical technician work. The question becomes, is the cost of that person worth the time and effort to keep them on the staff for the 10% of the time that they're actually doing work that they're qualified for? I can look at work orders by different priorities and by different locations. So let's take a look at some of the KPIs. In the manufacturing center, one of the most critical is looking at assets by downtime. And we've got clients that look at this in bar charts, line charts. I mean, how you look at it is again, a personalized type of thing. But number one, the system allows you to identify critical assets. And critical assets are those that, let's say, if they're down, the entire production line is down. Something's not going out the door. So you identify that as a critical asset. And we can measure the downtime based on properly filled out work orders, okay? That's one simple KPI. Another one would be demand and preventive maintenance hours by month. And we can break that down further by technician and machine and work type and facilities, different facilities and so forth. But where am I spending my time? Is 80% of my time on preventive maintenance and 20% on break fix, or is it the other way around? A lot of times when we start with clients, it is the other way around. 85% of their work is break fix work, and the goal is to turn it into preventive maintenance, which we all know is more effective and takes less time. Another one in the manufacturing sector is mean time between failure, and I can measure that by machine and see specific work orders associated with that particular piece of equipment. And again, different clients measure mean time between failure differently. The ability to identify how you want to measure mean time between failure is, again, something that we work with specific clients on and make sure that it's done correctly for them. Mean time to repair. So once a machine breaks, how long does it take us to repair that particular machine? We don't, if you're not measuring it, how do you manage it? So measuring mean time to repair, again, does it come from the time the work order is created? Does it come from the time the technician arrives at the machine to begin repair? How do you want to measure that in your particular environment? Again, very personal. Clients view it differently. One of our default screens when you begin is to look at work orders by work type. Are they preventive or break fix work orders? And then on the right side at the top, we see those that are open but not overdue. And then we also have the ability to have overdue work orders show, and that's on a real-time basis. So as work orders are opened and closed, people get to see exactly what's happening. And then we can look at work orders by location as well. The ability to see work orders where they are is something that is critical in knowing where your resources are and where they're being planned and used throughout the day. Costs. Costs are absolutely critical. We want to look at what does the work order cost? What does it cost to maintain a particular piece of equipment? Is that particular piece of equipment costing more to repair and maintain than it would to buy a new piece of equipment. Not typical in manufacturing, but very typical in facilities. We can look at total hours by trade or skill, okay? In other words, work or work type. How am I spending my time? Am I spending it escorting somebody in our factory? Am I spending that time, on planned maintenance? Am I spending it on mechanical? Again, looking at the percentage of how total hours are spent within our organization helps us manage more effectively. Root cause failure. Some clients absolutely require this, others could care less. And again, it relates to the fact that key performance indicators are very personalized for our clients. All of the information that's available in the CMMS can yield this type of information. We work diligently with our clients prior to implementing our CMMS to look at their both short-term and long-term goals. And when we say long-term, 5 to 7 years down the road, not only what does the maintenance manager want to know, what's the production manager want to know, what does the CFO want to know, what does the schedulers want to know, and we put the parameters in place up front to be able to capture the information. We work with our clients to make sure that the processes are documented as well, so that as there is turnover, as there is new people come and go, we have documentation to talk about the process so that the data is consistent from person to person. Of course, it's up to the facility or maintenance manager to ensure that on a day-to-day basis, and we have different ways of helping with that. We have things like required fields that can be forced into the system before you can close a work order and things like that. So in summary, we can look at hours, we can look at mean time to repair, we can look at mean time between failure by machine, by plant, number of incidents where production is stopped by machine or by work type, by work orders by priority, and putting all of this information together in your particular case as a user of Proteus will give you a significant amount of information to manage with. Again, it's just like it's very personalized. It's important to be able to make some decisions early on. But even we've had clients where, oh, I want to start measuring this, and we help them put the parameters in place. They document the processes, and they've added in additional information into the system so that they can start capturing data as they go forward. So it's not an all or nothing thing. It's, we try and help you think about and identify key performance indicators from the beginning, but it's something that as you go forward, you may have different needs. And in the last seminar, I reflected that it's important to go back and look at, why am I collecting this data? Is it significant to the business today? Because something we did 3 years or 4 years ago in collecting information may or may not be significant anymore. We may have automated something, we may have moved a process around so that something we were measuring 3 years ago no longer becomes important. So part of the manager's job in managing the CMMS system is to make sure that everything that you are gathering information on, your key performance indicators, are current with the needs of the business. So if you have any questions, there's a message area where you can type in a question. All of the KPIs that I've talked about, we've done for one or more customers. A lot of them are there's a few standard key performance indicators that we provide, like the opening dashboard and so forth on PMs versus DMs and overdue versus on time and completed but not closed. But there is the ability with every customer to have those personalized and customized key performance indicators as part of the system. The key is identifying the process, identifying the consistency to get that data so that you know you're getting good data. So again, there's a ton of key performance indicators. If you have any questions, please feel free to type a message in. Otherwise, I appreciate your time today, and thank you very much for your attendance.
There's a question asking if this KPIs examples that we just shown will be available. We can, and we will right after the presentation, we can share this presentation with these examples with everybody, as well as the recording. You will receive an email that has all of the material attached for your use.
Very good. If there are no further questions, again, I appreciate your time. Barbara, thank you very much.
Sure, no problem. We will be in touch with everybody attending today. And thank you for attending, and please watch out for upcoming webinars. We will be communicating with you guys, and we look forward with working with everybody. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.